Hey everybody, Steven here, and today we are looking at the Roccat Vulcan 121 AMO keyboard. So this is the tactile brown switches, and the way I'm going to do this video, this is like the first chunk, so this is going to be an unboxing slash review video. So unboxing here, I'll spend a couple weeks with this, and then I'll come back, and then I'll shoot the other half of the video where I essentially review this in greater detail. Now I've been using the Cane 200 here, and I really like this mouse, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of go through some of the other peripherals with this. Now typically I'm using Logitech products. So this is the G915 here. I really like this keyboard. This is definitely my favorite so far, but it's very, very expensive. And then I have the Logitech G703 here, and this has been my favorite mouse for the last like 5 years, and I can tell you that the Cane 200 here matches it in performance and just feel. So that's one of the other reasons why I wanted to kind of slowly go through some of the other peripherals, is because I've been so impressed with this mouse. Now let's get this thing unboxed here, but before we do that, I just want to cover some of the specs. So we have the brown switches, the brown tactile. This has a 1.8 millimeter actuation point. This has a removable palm rest, integrated macros and settings for memory, 6 programmable macro keys. It has the Roccat Easy Shift Plus technology, 32-bit ARM Cortex MO based processor, 1000 Hz polling rate. It has the Roccat Swarm software, 1.8 millimeter braided cable. This weighs 1150 grams for the weight here. And then in terms of the dimensions, so this is 462 millimeters long, 235 millimeters wide, and then it'll be 32 millimeters tall or thick with this. So let's get this thing unboxed. And I think it's aluminum for the outside here too, in terms of the material. But inside the box, just going to rest right there. We have our palm rest. Curious about this because my Razer downstairs, my Huntsman, has the built-in palm rest, but I typically use this one upstairs, which I really, really like. But I'll actually be swapping these out, by the way, so I'll be using the Cane and this instead of my Logitech products up here. Alright, and then we have our rubber stoppers on the bottom. It's very thin, and this is plastic. So it's not a soft material, so that's interesting with what they went with here. I'll be curious to see if it actually helps my wrist in terms of the ergonomics with dealing with the keyboard. The rest of it, we have paperwork in there, but let's slide this off. Alright, that's going to be it right there. So I like this because in terms of the illumination, it's not a full keycap, right? It's just the top here, and then on the outside you'll actually get that illumination from the RGB light. So I'll do an official sound test, but that's just a sample right there. Looks like we have a peel. Nice. Oh, that wants to stick to me. We also have a peel on this. Let's get that done really quick. And I'm wondering how this clicks in. So there's a light magnet with it. Yeah. Which I like when they do that versus you actually have to clip them in, which I've dealt with some of the Corsair products. So next thing, I'm going to get this thing set up and then spend a little bit more time with it. But yeah, it's the aluminum body here is what it looks like. We have 2 screws up top if you're going to take that plating off. We have our volume scroll wheel. It does have the kind of clicks with it versus just being a smooth scroll wheel. So the Logitech G915, it's a smooth scroll wheel, which is fine, but I do like when it has the little clicks to it where you can actually tell what level you're moving into. So visual effects, we have the mute button, volume button, and then FX button right here. So depending on whether or not you're going to change that, of course, in the Swarm software there. But yeah, just take a look at it right there. That is a good looking keyboard. So, and I like the braided when they do this, but it'll be interesting to go from wireless with my keyboard right now back to wired, but it shouldn't be a big deal. So let's go ahead and jump ahead. I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks with this, and then, like I said, kind of come back, do an official review, talk about not only the user experience, but talk about the specs one more time, the good, the bad, and then of course the different things that you can change in the software as well. So let's go ahead and cut ahead. The Roccat Vulcan 121 keyboard features 104 tactile brown Titan switches with a 1.8mm actuation point, 3.5mm travel distance, and a 1000 Hz polling rate. The anodized aluminum body makes the keyboard feel sturdy and resists dust buildup. The minimum housing allows for the 16.8 million color per key RGB lighting to show through, featuring Rockat's AMO illumination. This has 512 kilobytes, integrated macro and setting memory, a 32-bit ARM Cortex M0 base processor, and Rockat's Easy Shift Plus technology, which allows multiple functions to be assigned to keys within the Easy Shift zones. The keyboard weighs 950 grams and is 462 millimeters long, 160 millimeters wide, and 32 millimeters tall. This features dedicated media keys and a plastic wrist rest that uses magnets to attach to the keyboard. The USB cable is 1.8 meters long, and the price is $159, but can be found on sale now and then for $119. Now that we've covered the specs, let's do a sound test on the switches and then compare it to my Logitech G915 and Razer Huntsman. I like the sound of the switches, although not as much as my Logitech G915 silent tactile switches, but that does bring us to what I really like about this keyboard. So not only do I like the sound of the switches, they do have a great feel to them, and I haven't had any problems with ghosting or responsiveness. The font on the keys is different from other keyboards I've used, and although I don't think everyone will like it, I personally like the look as it's sharp and not rounded like what I've been using. The anodized aluminum body looks great, but also makes this keyboard feel solid and not frail, so if it was to fall off your desk or take a hit from a rage-induced throw against the wall, it wouldn't break. I'm guessing it would actually put a good dent in your wall, so I don't recommend doing that. For some reason, the keyboard reminds me of a fighter jet with its style and materials, while the Logitech keyboards I've used seem more like a spectrum of luxury to street cars, and Razer keyboards like sports cars and Corsair like large SUVs. All those brands remind me of cars, but the Roccat just seems to be more of a fighter jet. The software is easy to use, and although I don't personally use the Shift Plus for macros or reassign keys, I do appreciate the many options that it has. The lighting is one of the brightest of all the keyboards I've used also, which brings us to the lighting effects. The keyboard has various lighting effects, but not as many as other brands. This includes Wave, Snake, Fully Lit, Heartbeat 2.0, Breathing 2.0, Fading FX, Ripple FX, Custom, and AMO Intelligent Lighting. The AMO illumination seems a little odd to me though, as the software builds a custom lighting scheme based on how you use your keyboard. Or at least that's my interpretation of the information on the website, which I'll make sure that pops up right now so you guys can look at it for yourself. Now I do like the lighting, but it just seems kind of random with what it does. My favorite part is when it actually illuminates and changes the keys as I type, but it's almost as if they combined wave, key illumination, and breathing all into one. So the lighting looks cool, but I do wish they would create a screen sampling option like I use with my Logitech and Razer keyboards, which takes the colors on your screen and applies them to the keyboard itself. And with that, let's get into things that I don't like about this keyboard. The first thing would be the wrist rest, which is nice with magnets and matches the aesthetics of the keyboard, but for longer play session gets uncomfortable because it's made of plastic. A better cushion like the Razer Huntsman would have been nice even as a separate variation of the keyboard, as there will be some people who prefer this over the cushion, but it's just not my personal preference. Next, the volume dial is nice, and I was initially excited about how tactile it was, but it seems more like an annoyance than I was expecting, as it takes more time to twist compared to other ones I've used with more free motion to them. This means any adjustments needing to be made in-game can become a hindrance, which isn't fun in the heat of a good game. So the option to have it adjustable would be nice, so you could have it tactile or smooth depending on how you want it. For the price point of $159, I would have liked to see a USB pass-through also, which would pair well with the Cane 200 wireless mouse. In the grand scheme though, these are all minor gripes, as the biggest thing you want out of a keyboard is performance, and this performs extremely well. And a quick side note, it's not something that I think is a negative, but the anodized aluminum does pick up a lot of fingerprints. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. So that's going to wrap this video up. Overall, this is a great keyboard with some minor setbacks that are more personal preference as it performs extremely well. Hopefully it sheds some light on things to consider though. I'm hoping to see Roccat get into wireless keyboards in the future, as this would make a great keyboard even better. That's going to be it for this video though. I'll have the links for this in the description. If there's anything that I didn't cover, feel free to ask me in the comment section. If you like the video, hit the like button for me. And if you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And thanks so much for watching.